welcome to this beautiful space. You're a sight to be seen. I'm so grateful that you came to the table today. I had to bring Brooke Thomas, my cheerleader. She has come into my life with a vengeance and taught me how to find a lot of joy in life. Who needs that, right? Right? Okay, we're on the same team, and I want you to look to the left, to the right of you today. You've got a cheerleader in your corner. And it's not by accident. We have gathered today. I don't have my clicker, so I don't know. Somebody can bring that to me. I don't got a clicker. We have gathered today around, thank you, friend. Thank you. We have gathered today around the beautiful Kick Fear in the Face book that is in reality. Have you gotten it on Amazon or out there? It is her day. It's been a long awaited. And behind my eyes, since I sat down to write this book with Jordan, I have seen that I wanted to really bring the people that have impacted my life and bring them to the table. And for you to be imparted with the wisdom that I have received over the last 25 years of my life, and believe that this is an impartation day. Now today, I want you to just be fully open, be curious. Be ready to learn. You're going to probably hear terminology or words that in the culture I've grown up in, we kind of name it Christianese, and we're trying to break with that. We really are. But today you might hear some new vocabulary. But we are a curious group of people, and we're always learning, and we're always evolving, and we're just trying to be more like Christ today than I was yesterday. That's my vision. I just wanted Jesus to be lifted higher today through the work that he's done in my life. He's done a good work in my life, and I stand here today because of the pursuit of God in my life. And as I look at your eyes, I know the same. I know the pursuit of God has been on your life, and you are not in these seats by accident. It is on time. It is for a greater purpose, and we have to start owning our story. And that's really what Kick Fear in the Face was for me. Okay. Good. No? I see it up there, but I don't see. Oh. Okay. It starts with a decision to own every piece of your story. As a fear kicker, you can't leave the 5-year-old you or the 12-year-old you or the 27 or the 40-year-old you in the past. She has to come with you, or he has to come with you. And the future you is actually on your side. She's there to guide you and coach you, and actually she's been my greatest mentor and my coach. I have a lot of great coaches. Some of them are sitting in the room. A lot of great mentors, but my greatest coach has been my future self. But I didn't really get to partner with my future self until I really owned my actual own story. And as I sat with myself the past couple weeks in preparation of looking into your eyeballs today, I thought, what parts of my story do I need to share, that I need to own today, that can maybe, in a sense, speak to your souls today to wake something up in you? At 10 years old, I woke up to the purpose and the call of my life. I encountered the love of God at 5 years old. I accepted Christ into my life. I was very blessed to be raised in a Christian home that I had access to that. I want you to know I've traveled to 25 nations. That is not the case in most other nations across this world. They don't have access. I sat with one of my friend's daughters that came to this youth event a couple years ago, and I said, sweetie, just so you know, this is not the dorm. I invited a guy to church a couple years ago, and he had never sat foot in a church. He was raised by a medium. He had never had access to hearing the gospel. He had never had access to hearing the truth. And he sat in that service, and his eyeballs were like a flint looking at the stage, and I'm like, wow, we are living in the land of the free and the home of the brave, and yet so many people to the left and the right of us, our brothers and sisters, are lost. They have never had access to get to be invited into a room like this. So at 10 years old, I woke up to my purpose. I actually began to see behind my eyes. I didn't know at the time. All I saw was like Billy Graham and big crusades, but I began to see behind my eyes, like I was going to see stadiums filled, and I would see myself in the middle of those stadiums. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm from a town of 2,000 people in Midwest Iowa. I mean, like farming community, and I'm getting these visions. So it was, a big thing on my life, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I got married at 19 to the love of my life, Douglas Wood. We met in a ministry school called Master's Commission. Woo woo! Doug Wood in the house. And our life, we joined together and our life started. And it was not what I'm like, this is not how I had imagined it would be, right? Anybody like wake up and you're like, I didn't think this wasn't on the plan. But I didn't think I was going to marry a businessman. I thought I was going to marry like someone in ministry. And I thought, we were going to travel the world and preach the gospel. And here we get married and we go into business with this family, and it's great. I mean, it provides a living for us, but it's just you're going through the motions. And it's like, is this it? This is not how it's supposed to be. But God was writing a beautiful story. And God is writing a beautiful story. Every part of my story is significant, and it matters because it makes me be able to connect with other people out there in the world that are looking for hope, that are looking for freedom and thinking, is this it? And I can say, no, it's not it. Stay in there. Keep going. Keep showing up. Keep loving each other. Keep going through the hard times, because on the other side, you will start traveling the world. You will start doing ministry and business at the same time. And this picture with me and the two girls was right after Caitlin was born. And I've really been sitting with her the last little while, probably the last month, and just thanking her for a lot of decisions that I made at 28 and 29 years old. As a 42-year-old right now, I can say, Tia, good job for showing up. Good job for deciding to get healthy and getting yourself in marriage counseling and working, picking up loving on purpose and learning how to love my kids, because the generation, they loved me, but they just didn't know, they didn't have the tools. Thank you, Tia, for getting the resources and the tools, and thank you, Tia, for getting yourself in new rooms. I started putting myself in rooms like this. I was petrified. I had obviously, I have kick fear in the face because it was my number one thing that was trying to cripple me and hold me back. And I made a decision at about 30 years old. This began to deposit in me, this mantra of kicking fear in the face. And God said to me, Tia, you're going to be misunderstood. Not everyone's going to understand. And if you were with me yesterday, I talked about the lid is off. I want to remind the people that were with me yesterday, you are the only person that puts the lid on it. Nobody else gets to have that power in your life. And if you've given it, wow, okay, Sword, I see you. We're not ready for you quite yet. Just stay there. Okay. The lid's off. The lid's off. And it was literally, I was sitting in a Starbucks. We were eating coffee and they were eating snacks. I was trying to get out of the house. I was newly stepping into entrepreneurship. I was trying to figure out the dance between entrepreneurship and motherhood. And I looked at their eyeballs and I was looking at the people at the Starbucks, and literally in the voice in my head, I call it God, said to me, it's time to kick fear in the face. I'm sure kick fear in the face has been said before. I'm absolutely sure of it. I just grabbed hold of that and I said, I trademarked it. Thank you to Dave Blanchard. You said, we need to trademark that thing, right? And I'm like, oh, I should? He's like, yeah, you should do that. So I went on and I did that. In 2012, I began the journey. So this is not an overnight sensation. Did you hear me? 2012, I was sitting in a parking lot and I bought the domain kickfearintheface.com. My future self was talking to my current self saying, take action. Today, you might literally just go buy a domain name. Today, you might make a call to someone that you've been harboring bitterness with, that you just need to make reconciliation. I don't know what's going to take place today, but I know it's time. I know it's time for us to own our stories. And as I've sat with my 29-year-old self, I am so, so grateful for her. And I'm so grateful for my current self that's willing to do the work. Are you ready to do the work? Okay. I hope I can see my scriptures from the stage from here, but I don't know. This is gonna be it. Okay. These are some scriptures that I'm gonna show a lot of scriptures today because I want you to know the Word of God is living and active and sharper than any double-edged sword. You are even seeing it in the New Age world. They're taking our word that is living and active and sharper than any double-edged sword, and they don't even know they're speaking the gospel. They don't know they're speaking truth. It's like, oh, yes, I love that. You go, girl. I'm like, and people are like, that's amazing. I'm like, yeah, that's from the Bible. Yes, they're coming home. They are coming home. I came home. I was snatched up with the New Age world. And so whenever I hear people from the stage speaking the word of truth, I'm like, God, you're doing it. So we're going to speak this out. I will go before you and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of the bronze and cut the bars of iron. He is relentless towards us. I will give you the treasures of darkness and the hidden riches of secret places. He wants to give you the secret code, the secret places, that you may know that I, the Lord, who call you by your name, am the God of Israel. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And that's in Hebrews 11:1. When you become a fear kicker, you feel the fear and you do it anyway. You don't know the whole story. But my God says he owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. My God says he moves mountains. My God says he is my healer. He is my provider. He will make a way where there seems to be no way. His peace surpasses all understanding. He guards my heart. He guards my mind. That's what my God says. So I can step, even though I can't fully see it, I can step knowing, God, I'm going to have, all he asks is the seed of a mustard seed. Have you seen how little it is? Just a little bit of faith can move mountains. I knew I needed to write a book many, many years ago. If you've seen the Fear Kickers Wanted booklet that I created back in 2019, it's this little booklet that I made a video series for 7 days about helping you activate your life and by 7 spark habits of making your bed and drinking your water and sleep and your community. I mean, it was a powerful little booklet, but I started with a seed of faith. But in Habakkuk 2:2-3, this is Habakkuk. He knew he was supposed to write it down. I believe we are in a season and a time where we're to write it down. Maybe you're not going to write a published book. There are some people in the room that will do that in the next 2 years. I believe that. But there are many of you that just need to start journaling it and writing it down so the next generation can know, like, do you know how sacred those letters and those journals are from my grandmother? They are sacred. The Lord answered and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables, that he may run that readeth. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. I wrote this book and I put it on paper because I want my kids, my great-grandkids, my great-great-grandkids to know this is what it takes. This is what it takes. You can do it, baby girl. You can do it, my son. You are raised for such a time as this. I want them to know they have everything they need. They have a Father in heaven that sees them and knows them. I wrote it down for my kids, but I also wrote it down for their kids and their future kids. And the list goes on and on. You saw the picture where I own my story. Today, as you begin to own your story like I did at 29 years old, I get to walk in the fruits of that today. Now, part of me going to the next season is partnering with my future self at 65. So everything I do today counts. I don't wake up just mindlessly making my bed and having those conversations and showing up for those work meetings and loving my husband and honoring and looking my kids in the eyes. I don't do that out of just just going through the motions. I do it with intention because it's all connected to the future that I see behind my eyes that God's placed there. Your family matters. Your family matters. I believe whole, healthy families are going to change the world, like Danny and Sherry Silk. When you said that, I'm like, yes, I will get behind that. Just like you guys have all gotten behind Kick Fear in the Face. I'm like, yes, I will get behind that. We will go to the nations with that. In Romans 8:38 through 39, it says, for I am convinced that neither death, nor life, neither angels, nor demons, neither the present, nor the future, nor any powers, neither height, nor depth, nor anything else in creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. It doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter how far you've gone. You might have done some really terrible things. It doesn't matter. His pursuit will chase you down. Will chase you down. He wants his kids, and he's looking for the people on the earth that will say, yes, I don't know what this world is crazy, but I believe I'm born for more. I believe I'm born for more. In 2020, when the world was caving in, you felt like it was pressing. You were all on all sides. And I remembered back to Christmas, and these are the things that are so connected. And you're going to hear me honor the people in my life because that's legacy. I don't have an inheritance. Doug and I have worked hard, and some days we look at our life and we're like, wow, the generations that have gone before us, they've worked hard, and we're living in that blessing. But my parents and my grandparents have birthed legacy into me. There is seed in me that I live the life I live today because of their hard work ethic, because of their prayers. And my mom at Christmas time in 2019 had said, I said, is there anywhere you would want to go? I'll take you to Israel. I'll take you anywhere in the world. I want to take you. And she's like, the only place I'd ever want to go to is Magnolia. And then the world shut down in March. And you feel like, are we going to all die tomorrow? What's going to happen? Like, the world is caving in. So I'm like, I have to get to Magnolia. So the week Magnolia opened, I think it was like in September or October, my parents, we flew to Waco, Texas, masks and all, and we went to Magnolia. And that's a picture with me and my parents. I think that's the picture of just me and my parents, and there's 4 siblings now, so there's 4 girls. And in the middle is my grandfather. And I want to honor him just for a second. And I want you to begin to think about in your family bloodline, versus focusing on the negative, I want you to focus on what can you pick up from the generation before and say, that's my baton. I'm going to keep that going. And there was nobody that could make people laugh like my grandfather. He would jump. I was a baton twirler. He would jump over my baton. He would be goofy. He would be silly. He even bought a carnival. With their inheritance, he bought a carnival, you guys. And my grandparents were carnies. And they traveled across the Midwest. And as a young girl, I went out and I was a carny kid. And I hung out with the carnies, and I was not scared of them. They had no teeth. It was just like normal. It was just very normal. This is my legacy. This is the fruit. What's your story? What's your story? Because it matters. It has significance. Click. I don't know. Where do I need to pop it to? You? Okay. So the greatest contribution to the kingdom of God may not be something you do, but someone you raise. I just want to honor my parents today for raising me. I've sat out in my backyard mornings before we do events, or even today, and I'll say, Dad, I'm speaking in front of 12,000 people today. He's like, I could never do that. I'm like, you weren't called to do that. I need you to keep doing you. You keep praying. You keep doing what you do, and I'll keep running in my lane, okay? So I want this to be a season of just like a day of just releasing some of the people. Like, don't try to put them in a lane that they're not called to do. And today you might be like, I could never do what you do today. I don't need you to do what you do. I need you to be focused on running in your lane so that the next generation can run in their lane. This is legacy. This is Grandpa Joe. This is Doug's grandpa. He just went into eternity. And this is legacy. This is his kids and grandkids. And I just think, what do you want your kids and your grandkids and your great-grandkids to say about you? What I can say about Grandpa Joe is he was faithful, he was loyal, he was deeply, deeply rooted in the Word of God. There's nobody more that you could have a deep theological conversation with him. But here's what he said in his latter days. He said, when I was a young man, I prayed a prayer, and he said, and now it's your turn. He said, I prayed a prayer that 4 generations would know Jesus, that the promise of God was to him that every generation beyond him, 4 generations, would know Christ, and they would walk in that freedom and walk in that blessing. And you know what? All generations have. And he says, and now it's your turn to claim the next 4 generations. Have you taken up that mantle? Listen to Grandpa Joe. Take that mantle today, that every one of your seeds, every person that comes from you, from your seed, will know the power and the love of Jesus Christ that has come to set the captives free. That is Grandpa Joe. This is my grandparents. This is their great-grandkids. This went on, one woman. My grandmother was one woman. No siblings. She had no siblings. And she went on to have 5 children, that went on to have 14 grandkids, that went on to have, 40 great-grandkids. One person, all of us, being saved, healed, delivered, like we are walking in the freedom of Christ. Last year, one of my second cousins was in Indonesia as an engineer, undercover, doing crazy things for Jesus and being an engineer. Another one was over in Thailand. Another one was in China. You cannot, do not forget the humble little things of a woman that said, I'm going to pray for my kids. I'm going to pray for my kids. So I'm going to talk about 4 fears that might hold us up, that we're going to kick in the freaking face, and we're going to step on the other side. You ready to do that? Fear of failure. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and self-discipline. That is ours. We get full access to that. So when the enemy of our future and wants to come up and say, you're nothing, you can, no, I have the power of love and self-discipline inside of me. So for me, I didn't necessarily fear failure. I did somewhat, but actually feared success. So I would get up to success, and I would have a little bit of success, and I'd pull back. Because I'm like, I'm not worthy of that. I'm not worthy of that level of success. Or if I have that level of success, will I actually keep it and have sustainability with it? Because generations before, they would have some success, but they would fall back. Or it would mean things would happen in the marriage or in the family dynamics. So do you fear failure? Is it something that you come up against? And the only way to move past it is to say, no, I've been given a spirit of love, of power, and self-discipline. I'm going to take the daily action steps today. I'm going to make my bed. I'm going to drink my water. I'm going to make those connections with my community. I'm going to get outside myself. I'm going to get out in nature. I'm going to get my body moving. Fear of failure is no longer your name. Success is your name. Freedom is your name. Fear of fatigue. Fear of burnout. Can I stay in this for the long haul? Right? Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at a proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. We can't give up. There was a week where I wore these pants that said never give up. I think I finally just got rid of them. But I think I passed them on to someone. I can't remember who it was, but someone that needed them. And I wore them for 7 days because it was a week that was just a contending week. And I wore those with a commitment to saying, I will not give up. I will not give up. I want to honor Cindy Pate in the room. This woman has shown up to coffee shops and done events and done gatherings when no one shows up, and she makes it look like it is the biggest party in the world. She even has a pair of pants now that I think 1,333 lives or something that's been impacted. So you think about starting with one. When you start showing up for the one, when I say the one, I mean you. I mean you. Show up for you. Stop waiting for someone to be on the other side of the table. Show up to that coffee shop. If someone shows up, great. Otherwise, maybe it's a moment where you can actually not scroll on social media and read a good book and spend some time in personal development. We cannot fear fatigue because endurance is our name. Endurance and success are our name. Failure and fatigue is no longer our name. Some of you are fearing finances, and you let this be your name. Living in you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. Living in the narrative of like, I'm always going to be in debt. Well, if the power of life and death is in your tongue. If you keep saying you're going to be in debt, you're always going to be in debt. Are you ready to write a new story? This is what it says. It says, keep on asking and you will receive what you ask for. Keep on seeking and you will find it. Keep on knocking and the door will open to you. Matthew 7:7. Do you pray just a little prayer? Are you praying begging? Or are you praying proclaiming the goodness of God? Stop begging. You are not an orphan. You are a child of the living God. He wants to bless you. He wants to call you out. He wants you to be a city on a hill that no one can deny that there's something about you that I got to get up close and close with Carrie Ann. I got to know her. I got to be in her circle. She's got something that I need. She's got Jesus. She's got an amazing family too, but they don't know that. Most people they don't know until they get up and then we get to be like, oh, baby girl, do you want to grow? You want to learn? Let's walk this out with you. The generous will prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. Are you sitting at home? Oh, nobody likes me. Nobody's calling me. Does anybody love me? No, they don't love you. They love themselves. I mean, people are not thinking about you. They are thinking about themselves. When you go to look at a picture, what do you see first? Yourself. We're all self-absorbed. That's why we need Jesus. That's why we all need Jesus. We need to change the narrative. Like, we have success is our name, endurance is our name, and my Father moves mountains on my behalf. And he owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. You want that property? Go start circling that property. Drive by it every day. Wear the hat, right? Wear the hat. Buy the hat. Buy the 808 hat. You want to live in Maui? Buy the 808 hat. You want to live in Scottsdale? Buy it. What's our area code? I don't know what it is. You want to live in the Carolinas? Buy the area code. There have been times when I wake up in the middle of the night and I have a number in my mind, and I'll go like Google it, and now I go to the Hebrew meaning. I don't go to there is like numerology, and it can really take you, it's like, whoa, that's not what I was looking for. I just want to, or you know what? Go to the Bible. Like if you maybe wake up and you have 7:17 on your mind, like literally every day, I see 7:17. Morning, night, all the time. It's just how God speaks to me. It's like, I see you, Tia. Keep going, keep going. That might not be your number. So I know pretty much all the scriptures throughout the Bible. I can open up my Bible and I can go to the reference number of 7:17 and God can speak to me that day. If you're like, I want that, he'll show it to you. Do you ask for it? He says, if you ask for it, he'll give it to you. If you keep knocking, he's going to open the door. I mean, I have to give it, if you want to know about just making impact, and when you get to step into abundance, you get to make more massive impact. Oh, I love him. It just makes my heart so, there's babies happening around here. It's like for real. So if you like want to have a baby, like just get around these women and it just will it's like God's doing it. There's like new life happening. Talk about new life, the True Pursuit Rise Up Camp. Many of us in the room got to really gather together, and I don't know if they're in the room. Allie, how many kids were up there at that camp? 90 kids from different group homes across the valley. They took them up for a week and just mentored them, loved them. They did worship, they played games, and we got to gather as a community. Now, that's what we do here in the valley. But I want you to know, when you begin to step into abundance and you step into saying, my God owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. I'm going to work like it depends on me, and I'm going to trust God that it depends on him. We can't just sit here and wait on God. But because of the collective of us, we provided that. We'll provide backpacks, and we'll provide Christmas for these kids. Are you doing that in your community? Do you want to do that? That's what when we begin to not fear finances, and we step into abundance, that's what we get to do. That's what we get to do. Okay, fear of future. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. And then it says in 12, it says, and then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. The chapter in my book that's called The Secret Place, that chapter I know will wreck you, and I want you to know that didn't happen over time. But when you begin to create that space through worship, through learning that you don't go to God begging, you go to God proclaiming, and you get into that. I mean, when was the last time you did this? Every morning? Okay, that's really good. You are holy. You are set apart. I love it. I mean it. I mean that this space, but when you get here and you're doing it, it becomes like a posture. But if you haven't done this in a long time, just try it. If you're fearing your future, just get on your knees and say, God, I need a vision for my life. I need something stirred up in me, because we don't have to fear the future. God is on our side. And if you can cue up that video from Wonder Woman, I'd love to share that just for a moment, because I love how the spirit of faith, and when I saw this clip in Wonder Woman, it radically shifted the way I showed up every day. So I hope they can cue it for me. Your faith moves mountains. It says in Isaiah 61, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to those who are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of the vengeance of our God, to comfort all that who mourn, and to preserve those who mourn in Zion, to give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. Come on, Diana. Come on, Lloyd Ziegler. Come on, Brooke Thomas. Come on, Vic. Come on, Vic. Right? You take the blows, because you don't have to fear the future. We win. We know the end of the story. Why are you sitting idly by, worried if it's going to be okay? This future self, this woman that stood a couple years ago on the Sea of Galilee, my 65-year-old self looks back at me from that sea and says, you're going to be here, baby girl. You're going to have land here. People are going to come here. That's my vision. It doesn't have to be your vision. It could be the Sea of Cortez. I don't know where you want to live. But that's my vision. And so when the days get weary, I pick up my sword and I say, mess with me. I know the future. My God's on my side. Therefore, Since we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders the sin that so easily entangles us. That sin, it can just bite you in the butt. You just like, you're doing so great, and then you eat that cake, and you're like in shame all freaking day. Or you and your husband have a little riff, and it's like, and then you're just like, you just probably need to go have a little, you need to meet each other in your, yeah. It's like, don't let the sin so easily entangle you. Like, stop it. You're not getting buried alive in a box. Stop it. If you've not watched the YouTube clip, go watch it. I watch it probably every couple months. I go to YouTube and I type in Bob what? Bob Newhart, and I stop it. I'm like, Tia, stop it. My grandmas are like, stop it from heaven. Let us throw off everything that hinders the sin that so easily entangles us, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes a flint. When I say a flint, like unstoppable. My eyes are fixed forward, left or the right. There's things happening over here. I got life going on. My family has life going on. But I'm not going to let that hold me back from my calling and my mandate. If I would have let that, I would not be showing up here today. We got to show up. Show up. It's half the battle. For Jesus, the pioneer and the perfecter of our faith, we don't have to do it in our own strength. He did it for us. We are a new creation. We don't have to do it out of our own strength. And you're like, Tia, I need to understand that more. We can talk more. You're going to learn throughout this whole day from the movers, the shakers, the revivalists that I've learned from. But here's what I know. The joy set before him, he endured the cross. He went through it because he knew the kingdom of heaven is at hand, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. My future is secure. Your future is secure. Security is my name. Endurance is my name. Security is my name. These are my great crowd of witnesses. I found her 5 generations back. She was online because she has a crown on her tombstone. So somebody takes pictures of tombstones. That sounds like really fun, but glad that's not my job. But he goes around to random cemeteries and takes pictures. So I was Googling my ancestors' names because I got into ancestry, and I found her tombstone. Now, when I was back there this past year, I actually had my parents go find it first, and then I went back. You guys, it's on a gravel road out in the middle of nowhere. Farms are all around it. There's probably like 50 stones in the cemetery. I drove on the gravel road. A monarch butterfly flies in front of me. I continue driving, and it says Pioneer Cemetery this way. I'm like, yeah, that's my name. I'm a pioneer. Thank you, Grandma. I got the memo. Doing what you're called me to do. I got Grandma Irma. I've got my grandma up there from Norway that she traveled by boat. She would never see her mother or her mother would never get to see her grandkids at 40. They have spent her whole childhood and had all 3 of her babies. She was 45 years old when she got on a boat with her kids and her husband. Her husband would soon die, and she would raise 3 kids and get remarried again. She never got to see her mom ever again and got on a boat and came here from Norway. So when I want to have a poopy pants day, I'm like, I can, like, they swam. They had to learn how to swim. There's someone in the audience, their dad he never learned how to swim, and at 40 years old, he went to the river every day to learn how to swim to get his family to a better life. Would you be willing to do that? I would be, because I am a pioneer. I just have to give some kudos to my family. So we do not have to fear failure. We do not have to fear fatigue. Why? Why? Because endurance is our name. Success is our name. Abundance is our name. We know the end of the game, right? We know the end of the story. We are fear kickers, my friends. And this is the actual sword. that I found at a weapons store. Phoenix and I found it. It's an Israeli. It has a menorah and the Star of David. Phoenix and I were at a mall up in Portland, and everything else, it was 9 in the morning, and this weapons store happened to be open. Phoenix is like, can we go in that weapons store? I'm like, yeah. And for 2 weeks, we would be in the middle of Target, and he'd be like, Mom, did the weapons come yet? I'm like, it's like, yes, they came, bud. Yes. But this is a natural weapon, but you have been given supernatural weapons. You've been given the armor of God, which is the breastplate of righteousness. You are made right. You have the helmet of salvation. You have the saving grace over your life. You have the belt of truth that you don't have to go to the world or go look up numerology or go look up things on the Google. You can go right to the word, and God wants to talk to you that way. And I found myself on Google Land. So if you've been there, it's okay. You can come back home. It's okay. I still like to Google sometimes to find my scriptures, and it's good. I just now know Google can take me down a really bad place. So pick up your weapons. You have the shoes with the readiness, the gospel of peace. You have the helmet of salvation. And today would not be honestly possible without divine connections. And I believe when you want to birth a vision and a dream, it takes a village. This is a village. You guys connected to something in me, and I connected into something in you. And collectively, we are rising because our stories are connected.